You geek today?
Yeah.
You geeking?
Yeah.
Hi, we need some security. We have a patient in our clinic that's being, he's trying to beat up the doctors here, and we just need some help back here.
I got a phone call. It was Mount Sinai Hospital, but she was like, "Hi, is this Casey 10K?" And I was like, "Yeah." She was like, "You're listed as Tyler Lumar's emergency contact." And she was like, "Well, he was in jail and he tried to hang himself." And I was like, "What?" Like, it just didn't make any sense. I was like, "Wait, what are you?" I was like, "Is he alive?" And she was like, "Well, he's on a ventilator." And then I went to the hospital and there was a police officer there and wouldn't even let us see Tyler. They were like, "Oh, he's in police custody. You can't see him. He's on a ventilator. Like, what is he gonna do? What am I gonna do?"
My publisher came in and told me a story about a guy who had gotten arrested for parking tickets. And I thought, well, that seems unusual. So I started looking into it, and that's when I found out how far it really went, because by the time that I learned about it, I believe he had recently passed.
I've known him since high school, so I really only can tell you that much, but he loves sports and is super personal. Like, he loves people, makes friends anywhere he goes. The biggest thing is a great dad. I know I'm saying is. I don't really talk about him in past tense. I talk about him still in present tense. Savannah's our daughter. He's literally obsessed with her.
Slide Cam by Savannah Lumar. Savannah Marie Lumar. 10K. Speed, baby, speed. Go, 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 go. You're a savage, right?
Then we started dating in 2011 because actually my friend Simone was like, "Oh, there's this kid named Tyler. He's really cute. You should meet him." Then like a few weeks later, we end up in the same English class. So then I was like, "Oh, I met you. Simone introduced me to you." And then never stopped talking to each other, so.
I think Oak Park is an interesting community. I think it's diverse, but it's segregated diversity. That segregation is dependent upon economics. Centrally, you don't have a lot of minority populations, but you have those populations on the outskirts of the community, whether we're talking about going east into Austin, west into Maywood. At the base, inequality still exists.
Tyler Lumar was a young man who was trying to get asthma medication, and his doctor had died. So he went to a different pharmacy somewhere in the city, nearby Oak Park, I believe, and was denied the ability to get this asthma medication that he needed. And as I understand it, he suffered from pretty severe asthma. He became upset. Police came out, told him to leave, and he did it.
His first encounter with them, it was very like, "You know what, just go somewhere else." And he was like, "Okay, no problem, I'll leave. Like, but just so you know, they're racist in there." And they were like, "Okay, yeah, that's gonna happen. I'm sorry that's happening to you, whatever."
And then as he was walking down the street shortly after having left the pharmacy, police circled back around and picked him up because they, I guess, realized that he had these unpaid parking tickets, which was actually incorrect. So they arrested him, and, at the time he thought, this is just a mistake. I'll be out in an hour or so, a couple hours or so. Because he was able to talk to his girlfriend right after he was arrested.
I talked to him on the phone, and he was being respectful to the police. Here's Casey, she's saying she paid, whatever. There's dash cam video, you don't see them, but you hear them talking, and he's like, "I'm from Oak Park, like, I know you guys think I'm just one of these black guys from out west selling drugs, but I'm not." He's like just pleading his case with them.
So he was arrested for these parking tickets and sent to Cook County, had an asthma attack while he was in Cook County, went to the hospital, came back. At some point in the sort of timeline of all of these events, he was in a lockup sort of containment part of the facility with other people other detainees. He was accused of being in possession of narcotics, and they were able to show that it was not his, that it had fallen out of the pocket of someone else.
So I watched the video of him in the bullpen. When they take you to 26 in California, they put you with everyone else that has just been arrested. So it's just like a room with just everyone that just got arrested and is waiting for their bond hearing the next day or however long before the bond hearing. Before putting him in there, they had searched him 8 times. Like, it's even in their reports how many times they've searched him. They searched him when they first arrested him. They searched him when they brought him to this 11th district. They searched him when he went to the hospital, when he got back from the hospital, before going to 26 in Cal, when he got to 26 in Cal. So a bunch of times they're searching him. Somebody in the bullpen, you see it in the video, pulls something from his sock, goes like this, and just drops it. And Tyler, being Tyler, he's just curious, looks over and looks at it, and when he goes to see what it is, the sergeant or sheriff that's watching over them says, "Hey, you," and brings him out and is accusing him of having crack. They accuse him of having crack. He's in the video saying, "You searched me 8 times." There's no audio on the video. You can only see Tyler like holding up his finger saying, 8 times, you searched me 8 times. And that was their reasoning for sending him back to the 11th district, is because they said the 11th district is where he was initially arrested. So they had to go and like do another arrest report for him having crack on him.
Whatever issue people like Tyler, that look like Tyler, continue to face, it's a symptom of a larger systemic issue.
So I think that's when things really could have started to spiral for him. Was in Cook County being accused of a serious crime that could have resulted in his long-term, much longer-term incarceration, and freaked out. Had probably felt, desperate. I'm guessing. The story is that he tried to take his own life while he was in lockup, which is another thing that the lawyers argue should never have happened.
They claim he found him in his holding cell, and there was a camera in there, but they said, oh, it wasn't working at the time. Even like the arrest report, there's 2 of them. One was halfway written and had different information than the other one that was fully filled out. Then there's even the fact that they told us, oh, he couldn't bond out, but we later found out that they did speak to Lee County, and Lee County said he can bond out. He can pay, I think it was $130. I'm not exactly sure. He can pay and get out. And he had $150 of cash on him. So our attorneys are like, why didn't you guys let him bond out? They put an X on his file, which means he can't bond out. But no one knows why they did that. We're suing like individuals that arrested him, sergeants that accused him of things, like the city of Chicago as a whole. So it's just been a really long process. They keep pushing back dates. It's been 6 years. At one point, the city of Chicago tried settling for $55,000, and our attorneys were like, his medical bills alone were over $2 million. Like, what? That's really what you guys are valuing his life at? Like, you can't even put a number on it, but like, really, it was just kind of a slap in the face. We had a doctor like come and take pictures of the markings, and they were like, it just doesn't make sense. Like, our expert does not think he hanged himself, but that's not what our case is about. So we're not like suing them saying you guys lied, he didn't hang himself, but we genuinely don't believe that's what happened. There were just a lot of things that didn't add up and that like we still don't have answers to.
So first of all, he never should have been arrested. Second of all, he never should have been detained, because what he was being arrested for was not any kind of serious crime. It was a technicality because it was in a different county. It was from Lee County. The police believed that they had a right to continue detaining him. When you look at the case at a surface level, you say, oh, it's a guy who got arrested and freaked out and tried to commit suicide. Like, how's that police abuse, right? But when you really look at all of the details leading up to why he was detained in the first place, that's the problem.
At the end of the day, the numbers that we are seeing and the type of interactions we are seeing with our police in reference to our black men and our black women in particular, no matter where they're from, no matter what their experiences are, is not right. He should still be here.
I was talking to Casey and her mother and grandmother. I knew it was going to be a pretty heavy-duty kind of interview. And so I was doing my thing, and they were telling me about Tyler. And then there was just this moment that shook me. Savannah was just kind of playing with her toys, just sort of doing her kid thing, right? And just out of the blue, she looks up and says, "Do you think it's possible that it was all a dream and that, Daddy's not dead and he's going to come home and all this kind of thing?" And Casey said, "Oh, yeah, maybe, who knows?"
But Savannah's very, very connected to God. I don't know how to explain it. She's just always been very spiritual. It's when I told her about Tyler passing away, she was like, "It's okay, Mommy, Daddy's happy now. Now he can walk again, now he can talk again, now he can dance again. You don't have to cry."
These kinds of topics get so politicized by the right and the left and all these different interest groups that want to, either make a change, or they're the interest groups that think that the police are great. Somebody like Savannah is outside of this thing. She has her only interest is the fact that she doesn't get to see her father anymore.
When he got hurt, I think it brought me closer to God. I think it made me I was sitting in the hospital reading the Bible every day to him. I was sitting reading different daily scriptures to him. And so I think it brought me closer. But then when I think he passed, my Bible kind of stayed closed for a long time. It was just I felt kind of jaded. I had all this faith that God was gonna heal him. So I was kind of mad. But then Savannah being no, God did heal him. He's happy now, he's healthy now, I think made me have a different perspective. It was a lot. I mean, for 20 months, we had to see Tyler in the hospital, and he shouldn't have been there, I'm in therapy now because of it. Savannah was only 3. I think about it now. Instead of going to the park and playing with friends every day, it would be okay, come on, we gotta go to the hospital to see your dad. I'm grateful for it in a sense, because we got that time with him, and even though he wasn't talking, even though he wasn't always aware, when we would walk in the room, he would open his eyes. When he would hear Savannah's voice, he would smile. Before, when the first few weeks when he was in the hospital, Savannah wasn't allowed there. So I'd play videos of Savannah on my phone for him, and he would just have tears coming down his face. Her friends will talk about their dads, and she can't. To her, she feels awkward bringing him up because she doesn't want to make them uncomfortable. So she has a diagnosis of PTSD. I just recently got her evaluated for ADHD, and they said it wasn't ADHD, but she just has extreme anxiety. She's gonna miss out on so much because he's not here, whether it's daddy-daughter dances or take your daughter to work day, all that kind of stuff that you do with your dad, she's not gonna have, and it's not gonna be because he chose not to be there, it's gonna be because he was literally taken from her. It's just gonna affect her, forever. It's something that's never gonna go away.
The question is whether it was incompetence or intentional. I think either way, it's an injustice that needs to be rectified.
Jesus loves me, yes I know, for the Bible tells me so.
I would just tell her that, recognize and understand if it was under your father's power, he would still be here. He would still be your dad. He loved you. He continues to love you, whatever you believe in after this life. But it wasn't his choice. It really wasn't.
Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. Yes, Jesus loves me. For the Bible tells me so.